everyone, and welcome back again to Huddle Up here on the Missouri Sports Network. Hey, we're inside the Pizza Ranch studio. You're sitting live here with the fellas. At least two of us in the studio. One of us driving around trying to figure his way out, his way in the world here. Mr. Guy Newcomb. He's sitting there looking good and pretty. And the other one, I want to give a round of applause to Mr. D.A. Darren Archer, the new coach at the Walnut Grove Lady Tigers. Way to go, DA. Congratulations on the new job. I hope you guys don't go through any name changes over there. I like the Tigers. Let's keep Walnut Grove, the Lady Tigers, the rest of this show. DA, hopefully you take a long run. I know you're excited about the new position, DA, especially with I don't know if our listeners know the DA also was the head basketball coach at the Southwest Baptist. So DA comes with a lot of experience. They got a really great hire, really great guy. DA, talk to me, brother. How you feeling?
Oh, I feel good. Glad to be back in the game, and checks in the mail for saying all those good things about me.
Thank you, brother. Last one, I had a little bit more, but the last one wasn't enough. So I stopped it short right there. I had a lot more great things to say, but the last check really wasn't paying the bill.
Right.
Gentlemen,
I understand.
Glad to be back. We had a great weekend of college basketball, exciting games. Everyone was up and roaring. Maybe one game disappointed, but the other ones had big swings. You know, team goes up 13, end up losing. Team goes by 10, end up losing. We had wraparound passes. We had between the leg passes. We had alley-oop, slam dunks. DA, tell me what game you really liked and just your overall atmosphere of college basketball kind of making a comeback with this tournament, bringing a lot of people back into the fold. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the tournament suffered through COVID. Just didn't have that same feel to it with empty gyms and now that things have kind of relaxed and seem to be back to normal, I think it's back in good shape. Plus the fact that everybody's brackets are so screwed up right now. That's what makes it it makes it even better. So I think you're seeing a shift in men's college basketball with the transfer portal, with the NIL. Some of your lesser known programs that have 4 or 5 year guys are really doing well this tournament. And here again, I think that's a result of COVID. But probably 4 teams that not everybody had as a shoe in for your Final Four. And looking back, I love basketball, period. So all of them are good to me. But it's a very fun time of year. Last weekend to watch the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 to build up to this coming weekend is always my favorite time of year, and really looking forward to what should be an entertaining Final Four.
I agree with you. What we have on the Final Four, we got Florida Atlantic versus San Diego State, and then we got Miami, I believe it is, versus UConn. Guy, let's run through a couple of the scores. Miami beat Texas 88-81. UConn pretty much handled Gonzaga. A lot of people didn't see that coming after Gonzaga came back and ended up beating UCLA. Creighton at San Diego State was a great game. And San Diego State, of course, pulled that off 57-56. And then you had Florida Atlantic beating one of our favorite teams, Kansas State, with the program Huddle Up friend of ours, Rodney Perry, being the assistant coach. Guy, what was your feeling on some of those games and your take?
Well, you look at that Florida Atlantic K-State game, obviously a lot of eyeballs there just because, number one, our connection, all of our connections, to Rodney Perry. You really rooting for them. And Florida Atlantic, they just had some dudes. I mean, they were big. They got the big rush in there in the middle. They're going to be a tough out. UConn really is the only maybe marquee program, in the Final Four, with UCLA being gone. I think this is the first time ever since they expanded the tournament that there's not been either a North Carolina, UCLA. It's been Coach Archer talked a little bit. A lot of these teams are older. They're playing some of these guys because of the COVID year. Some of these guys, I mean, there's the FAU roster may be older than half of the NBA rosters out there with the age that they've got, and that just that tends to lead to, I mean, not only you're physically more mature, but athletically more mature, but you're emotionally more mature. And this is a grind. When you talk about these back-to-back weekends where you've got to play 2 games and be at your highest level. And you look at K-State, what they went through with that overtime win, to get to the Elite Eight, that took a lot emotionally out of them. And then to come back 48 hours later, and physically out of them, and to come back 48 hours later, I think that's what hurt them. But some of these teams that have got those more mature athletes on it, that's why you're seeing the success that they're having.
Well, I would push back and kind of debate that a little bit. I thought the playing field was about as level as you're going to get that game. I just think they missed a wide open layup for a dunk. You missed some easy bunnies around the rim, and I thought K-State just kind of just lost its way a little bit. And they missed a couple free throws down in the front end of a 1-and-1. So it was just kind of one of those things where you look back at those games, it's one thing, DA, leads to another. The San Diego State game, DA, there was a very, what I would call non-controversial call as far as what I look at it, because I really thought that he kind of did have his hand in his side and fully and completely affected his trajectory in the air. DA, talk about that a little bit for our audience. Was that a foul or not a foul at the end of the San Diego State Creighton game?
It was a foul. I mean, that's your first class in refereeing school is going to show you a foul like that. That's a foul. But where I think a lot of people had a problem with it is that game was a very physical game from the get-go. And there were a lot of other fouls just like that were let go and were not called. And I think the reason people were upset was just the consistency throughout the game. And as a coach, you don't really recognize this rule as much as I think is what fans do. But I think there's an understood rule when fans are watching basketball that regardless if a guy gets his head taken off, it's not a foul at the end of the game. You just don't blow your whistle. But you can't do that. From my standpoint, I don't feel like it was controversial. It was a tough way to lose a basketball game, no doubt about that. I'm sure the kid that had the foul called on him was, beside himself. But no, it was a foul.
Yeah, see, I'm more like that. Play through it, and I respect what you're saying immensely. I'm more like play through it because I'm not gonna call it. And I know I'm not necessarily eat your whistle, but you're gonna have to really knock somebody down for me as a referee. Haven't seen that, but Guy, that's just a tough way to lose. Miami, on the other hand, Texas got up. I thought Texas let off the gas a little bit. Texas got up and just kind of, I saw a little bit of smiles on the sideline at a timeout, and I said, "Ooh, that's not a good sign." Guy, they ended up losing that game after being up by 10 late, with 13 minutes left in the game. What are your thoughts about that game, Guy?
Well, I tell you that Miami is just so athletic. And this is Jim Larinaga, coach team that he kind of started that sweep or that Cinderella run when he was at George Mason and took George Mason to the Final Four years ago. He kind of was right in front of that as far as these Cinderella teams. So he coached them up, and I'm watching him and I'm thinking that guy looks just like Jimmy Boeheim. I mean, on the sideline, just much another nicer version, I think, of Jimmy Boeheim. But I thought that was a well-coached game. I thought timeouts were called at the right time. I thought, they took Texas out of some things that they were comfortable doing and being able to get to the rim. And Miami's just athletic, and it's who wouldn't want to go play at Miami? That's another thing there. This is going to put them maybe in a and they finished second or third in the ACC. They're not a bad team, to get. But I was impressed with Miami, and I loved the weekend and that foul, like Darren said. That's a tough time to call that. In that game, that's you look at every other game that weekend. There was an average of 34 fouls called in every other game that weekend. That was the 19th foul called in that game with 1 second left on the clock. Yeah. And I think, and the official where he was standing, that's the only place you could have seen that. He just had to be standing in the right spot, be there at the right time. I think that's a foul, but I don't know that you call that in a tie game.
Right.
I think you maybe push that. Let's go to overtime and decide this. We've allowed this kind of stuff to go on all game. Now, if one or either of the teams have a 1-point lead, yeah, then you blow the whistle and then let that foul determine the game. But that was just a rough time to call that with it being a tie game.
I completely agree with you. So that's 2 against 1. That's the non-coaches versus the coach on that one. And as Karma would say, hopefully that doesn't happen to you sometime next year, DA, because you'll be calling us like, why did he call that at the end against your Walnut Grove Lady Tigers? Hey, everyone, you're listening. You're listening to Huddle Up here on the Missouri Sports Network. 2 of us are in the Pizza Ranch studio. 1 of us is in an old beat-up Chevy Ford, found on the road dead somewhere along the line. That's Guy Newcomb. We'll be right back with our next segment. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. Thanks for listening.
Imagine a bank that goes where you go, creating seamless solutions for every step in your financial journey, allowing you to manage your money the way you want to, with a banking relationship that makes every day extraordinary. Imagine a world full of possibilities, always within reach. Central Bank. We do banking better.
Chevy Silverado. It's got the power you want and the capability you need to do the job, so you can get to the important work. Find new moments, find new roads. Get a $500 cash allowance on all 2022 Silverado pickups with a 2.7-liter turbo engine. Plus, unlock your code to claim $500 Chevy Cybercash. Visit ChevyCybercash.com today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Huddle Up here on the Missouri Sports Network inside the Pizza Ranch studio. We got everyone back inside of our cave here. Guy, scoreboard man, is back inside of his bat cave. DA is sitting up there doing his thing in his portion of the cave, and I am sitting on top of the roost here overlooking this thing. Hey, we're going to talk a little baseball right now. I'm excited. Opening day here. Traditions all across the board. Most parks are going to say they have tradition. I am biased by far, understanding the rich history of the St. Louis Cardinals. It is our time to shine. But there will be some changes this year. We'll get into those things a little bit later with Major League Baseball. But the Royals on the other side of the state are opening up with the Twins. Everyone's high in anticipation about what can happen. Everyone's optimistic about the year. The Cardinals are starting with the Blue Jays. DA, let's start with you here. What are your thoughts about the Cardinals, who they're pitching, and the pitcher they're going against up there with the Blue Jays, and if the Cardinals have a legitimate chance of making a little run at this World Series title?
Yeah, Miles Michaelis is going to face off against Alek Manoah, who I actually had on my fantasy team last year. He's pretty salty. I think it's going to probably come down to the weather's supposed to be nice as far as I know up in St. Louis. So that's going to be a huge factor. And then I think whoever can get to the bullpen quickest is probably going to have a good chance to win. You look at the opportunity for the Cardinals throughout the season. It's kind of funny. Everybody else in the NL Central is playing inter division games. And you look at both of them, and you're just like, man, those are stinkers. Those are horrible matchups. You got Milwaukee and Chicago, and I'm a Cubs fan, but I just kind of think, And then you have, which may be the worst opening day in the history of baseball, you have Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. And I mean, those two will be vying for who gets the first draft pick next year. So they stand a very good chance to move on. And at that point in time, there's a lot of factors. What happens at the trade deadline? Does everyone stay healthy? Does their bullpen develop, and so forth and so on? So it's going to be. I love this time of year. The end of basketball, transitioning into baseball. So looking forward to opening day.
Absolutely. All I got to say to you, Guy, before I kick it to you, Dun 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 dun. The guy, scoreboard guy, break into me, fella. Tell me what you're thinking about this upcoming season. You got the Royals, Cardinals, and we got some rule changes we want to go over. Talk to me, big fella.
Yeah, and I tell you, Cardinals. It's all going to be. I think it's going to be Flaherty. And you look at what he did. That 24-1 blow up game he threw that last time out in the spring training. But I know that they're just working on things there. You look at the kind of projections. I mean, the Cardinals right now are over under 88.5 wins. You look at the rest of that National League, and obviously you've got the Braves and the Mets and the Dodgers and even San Diego. All over 93, 93, 94, 95 wins as far as projected. The Cardinals got a tough road to hoe, I think. And playing, this year, they're not going to play as many times in that National League Central. Everybody's going to play everybody the same amount of times, and that's going to hurt. The Cardinals a little bit. They're at, like I said, 88.5 wins. They're still picked to win the division, but it's going to be all about, I think, Flaherty and whether or not the back end of their bullpen can stay healthy there. So I'm optimistically looking at it. And this is kind of a new thing too with regards to opening day. For the last 100 years, opening day has always been in Cincinnati. They were the oldest team in the league, and that's where opening day was. And everybody started the next day. Well, now everybody's playing tomorrow, and that's different. So a lot of changes in Major League Baseball. I know we'll talk about some of the rule changes as well, but there's going to be some great headlines coming out as we go through this season.
I agree with you there. I can't wait to get it started. Let me tell you this, gentlemen. Let's go over a couple of rule changes, and we can circle back if needed be. But let's talk about this. This is kind of crazy here. So there's no shift, that is one that I'm for. We'll dive into it. There's a pitch clock, okay, and you can only throw over 2 times as a runner on base. And then you have the bases are bigger. Da, dive into those 4 major changes and how you think that affect baseball, and how you think the left-handed hitters will probably be more prosperous because of it.
Well, I think you nailed it on the head. Left-handed hitters, I think you're going to see their averages go up substantially, just because of the no shift rule that's been put into place. I really like it personally. I think what you will see is managers and coaching staffs will adjust. I don't know if they'll put a rover somehow out in the outfield or something along those lines. You got to have both feet on the dirt. So I would say that they're going to make some type of adjustment. They're going to find that gray area that they can, that wiggle room to where they can still cover that portion there, that opening between first and second base. And but I really like the fact that the shift rule. To me, that's the best rule they changed. I've been watching a lot of spring training, and I think a lot of it's yet to be seen. Pitch clock, man, they just get up there and hum it. And I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm a baseball purist, and if it's not broke, don't fix it. I understand that games were getting long and so forth and so on, but it's been that way for a long time.
Yeah.
And I just think that they're trying to there's other ways to make people get more interested in becoming baseball fans than tweaking the rules, in my opinion. So that's my 2 cents, and I'll let Guy talk about some of the other rule changes.
No, D, that was about 5 cents you gave there. But we like it. We like it when you give your sense anyway. Nuke, what do you say, my brother? I mean, there's several of them. Even the pitch clock and throwing over 2 times and the bigger bases to avoid injury. You guys, talk to me, Nuke. What are your thoughts?
Well, I tell you what, the pitch clock, and just talking to some guys that I know that have pitched, at the NCAA level and the professional level, they love it. They want to get that ball back and throw, because they already know in their mind when they throw that first pitch, they know what they're going to throw on the second pitch. The hitters are stepping out, going in and out because they're trying to recollect what they've seen. The pitchers throw in this count, in this situation, and that. Well, the pitcher already knows. They just soon get the ball back and throw it. Now, the throwing over just 2 times, that's obviously in favor of the base runner. there, because he knows that he's only going to be able to come over here twice. He can get a one-way lead, encourage a throw, get another one-way lead, encourage a throw, and then he's off to the races there. The shift. I think you're going to see batting averages go up. I think that's an advantage to the hitter, and I think that's why they came up with the pitch clock, is to give an advantage, give something back to the pitcher, because they've taken a little bit away from him. So I'm excited to see and we'll know a month into this, because you're going to have 200 games under your belt with 32 teams playing, 28 times in that first month. You're going to know where the tendencies are, and you're going to start seeing analytics then play a huge role, because now the rules have changed. So the analytics are going to change. So you're going to see guys, major league teams, going out and hiring, more guys from Harvard. Hey, how do you do this? Run these numbers. And then you're going to start to see that kind of take over. And I think what baseball's trying to do is to pull that out of the game with the shift, but they're actually going to add to it, with the numbers, because the analytics are going to change.
Yep, I agree with you. You know what? It's going to be interesting to see this year play out. And then, you know what? I think they'll reevaluate next year, kind of like football did with some of the things with replay and the pass interference rule. And then they'll say, hey, that worked, this one didn't. But I am more excited about that shift, because I hated to see the shift and you see a guy just drill something up the middle, and then there's a guy just standing right there. And that almost ruined a lot of careers. Matt Carpenter always comes to mind, the former St. Louis Cardinal, who was just a pull hitter, and he had almost changed everything. But, gentlemen, we're excited. We're going to keep our audience abreast on what goes on with the Royals and the Cardinals every week. That's what we do here on the Missouri Sports Network. We thank you for listening. We got one more segment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Missouri Sports Network. You're listening to Huddle Up here inside of the Pizza Ranch studio. And once again, my favorite high school coach here with the Walnut Grove Lady Tigers, Roar Tigers. Well, should I say Soar Tigers? All right, here we go, gentlemen. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
It means the world to me to have a job where I can help farmers. That's what I want to do, is be here for them.
Alan became a counselor in a rough time. He just has a feeling for what we as farmers are going through.
I learned that there's not a given in life. It takes a team, not only us, but Country Financial. And I've learned that there's people that also are going to watch out for us and that care.
Enjoy a fresh start to your meal at Pizza Ranch, where the salad bar is always included with your buffet. Every day you'll find garden fresh greens, colorful veggies, and sides for every appetite. It's the most refreshing way to balance out a meal while leaving plenty of room for your other buffet favorites. Convenient, fast, and fresh. It's the Pizza Ranch Salad Bar.
Welcome back, everyone, to our final segment here on Huddle Up on the Missouri Sports Network inside the Pizza Ranch studio. There's been a lot of things. We talk sports here every week with you. We appreciate you listening. But we also understand that life has things that happen outside of this realm of athletics that sometimes just kind of tug at us a little bit. And we want to offer our sincere condolences to those that are affected in the Nashville shooting. Something that was very tragic. And it's tragic, any shooting, and it's more so when a child who hasn't had the ability to live their life and reach their potential is taken from us by acts of senseless violence. And so here at the Huddle Up, I'll speak for everyone here. We want to make sure that we offer our condolences and our prayers to those that are still healing, and our country that's healing, just having to relive this. Gentlemen, that's what I have to say. DA, Guy, do you guys want anything to say on a personal level about how that affected you, or anything you want to say about that?
No, I think you pretty well covered it.
Yeah, it's tragedy, and it's a shame that 9-year-old kids aren't safe in a classroom, and that's ridiculous, and we've got to do something about it.
I agree with that. So we wanted to make sure we said something, because we sincerely feel sadness and grief for those that are truly affected, and all of us have had kids, and we understand sending them off. You always expect them to come back home, So that's something we want to make sure we put out to our audience. Also, a beloved friend of the program, Art Haynes, guy, we give a weekly update. Before we get into something else, let's talk about Art Haynes, guy. Tell us a little bit more about how Art's doing.
Well, right now it's just a slow process. He still has the trach in. Coach Rowe kind of keeps everybody updated. We've got a chain, a text chain, so to speak. And right now it's kind of just very slow process. He was able to stand up for 13 minutes earlier this week. Now he's got a rack kind of deal. And I know that sounds bad, but he stands up in that, but able to keep his feet. And I think 13 minutes, and that's a new record. So it's just a slow process.
Good.
For him. He was able to. Coach Rose said he saw him wipe something away from his mouth, and that's been he hasn't been able to feed himself or do anything, but to make that. Now he has learned how to voice to text, so he is sending text messages out himself now.
Good.
He's just using Siri voice to do so, but a slow process, and hopefully. By mid-May, he's back in the Springfield area, doing his rehabilitation.
Good for Art. And I see our Art making it back. Hopefully one day on the air, if not just into a color commentary role, or just to say, "Hey, I'm back, everyone." And just he's a big Bear fan and a big supporter of our program. Gentlemen, the Super Bowl was played in February. A lot of interesting things happened during that Super Bowl. A lot of interesting things happened leading up to the Super Bowl. The Kansas City Chiefs have what we consider to be a super fan. And there's a story about a super fan. And listen, it has all these mysterious things in it. It has a super fan. It has bank robberies. It has disappearances. It has gambling. It has all these things in it. Sex, lies, videotapes, whatever you want to say. Fellas, I know, Guy, you've been very invested in this. DA, you got your story. Guy, let our audience know about this KC superfan, what he goes by. Give us a story here, Guy. Let us know. Give us the rundown, buddy.
Well, these are the things movies are made of. This is, he's referred to as Chiefsaholic. He goes to every game, home or away. Tries to sit, and he's got like a wolf outfit that he wears with Chiefs garb all over it. I know if you see a picture of him, you would recognize seeing him there. His real name is Xavier Budabar, and he would go to all these road games. And earlier this year, before the Super Bowl, he went to a game, I believe, maybe in Texas or. But anyway, he was supporting his travel and his tickets by one gambling, but he was also robbing banks on the way to these games. And they caught him in Bixby, Oklahoma.
Oh, wow.
This is prior to the Super Bowl. And the judge, he was behind bars, had a $2 million bond. The judge reduced it to $80,000 because he convinced him he had a family situation he had to go to in Arizona, which was the Super Bowl. Not a family situation. So the judge puts an ankle bracelet on him, allows him to leave. After the Super Bowl, he cuts the ankle bracelet off and he's disappeared. Now he has a $1 million warrant out for his arrest. He's been on the lam, so to speak, I think for probably 10 days, 8 or 10 days. Nobody knows his whereabouts. It's just a remarkable story, and it's nobody's gotten hurt, which means we can laugh about it at this point. He has not shot anybody. He just is robbing banks on the way to these games, and when and then he's gambling. He picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. He picked Mahomes to be the MVP, and so he's got these tickets that are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, but he can't cash them in because everybody in the country is looking for him. And we don't know where he is. I would think, and maybe by the time we meet next, I think he's probably going to be apprehended. So I'll give it another week, and somebody's going to find him. He's going to make a mistake. He's going to dine and dash at an Applebee's, and they're going to get him. And they're going to say, "Wait a second, you look like that Chiefsaholic guy." Something's got to give. So I wonder where he is, and if he wants to call in to the Missouri Sports Network and just update.
Hey,
well,
I love it. I love that idea, DA. I love that idea of him calling in, DA. Let me tell you something. I've placed a bet or two in my lifetime, and I've won to rob a bank. That's for damn sure. I tell you that. After the losses I've incurred, DA, what are your thoughts about this Buddha guy?
You cannot make this stuff up. This is amazing.
Not even if you're a Walnut Grove Lady Eagles, you
No,
couldn't make it.
Lady Eagles.
Let alone if you're the Walnut Grove Lady Tiger, but you damn sure couldn't make it up if you were the Lady Eagle.
Absolutely. No, you just can't make this stuff up, man. Just make you scratch your head and say,
That's good stuff, gentlemen. Well, we'll end it on that. Hey, we thank you for listening once again to the pizza Huddle Up inside the Pizza Ranch studio here on the Missouri Sports Network. Hey, don't forget us, share us, like us, send us off to your friend, take a segment, whatever segment you like. Keep listening to it over and over again. Hey, we appreciate you all listening to us. I'm Johnny Mack. That's the coach, DA. That is the scoreboard guy at the bottom there. We affectionately known as Nuke. He has the hat. He has the gear that I don't have yet. So I'll be waiting for my Missouri Sports Network gear. We're going to put it up. Maybe we'll start selling some of it to our general public. Hey, we're glad you were here with us today. Thank you. Stay safe out there. Kiss your children. Hug your family and friends. And see y'all next week.
This has been a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network. Thank you for tuning in.